family apparently became so very wealthy that they are wealthier than King Charles. Isn't funny? So it shows you that people who are sometimes refugees with nothing but the clothes on the back can do quite well for themselves, given the right environment where you can blossom. Would they have done so well if they had moved to Iran instead? Under the mullahs? I don't think so. So this is what's going on in Iran. People have had enough. At some point, people will explode if you subjugate them long enough. Their faith in something better is much stronger than their fear, even of the Basij, which are the morality police. It's just a bunch of peasants that run around whipping women if they show an ankle or a shoulder or hair or some, basically terrorizing everyone into submission so the mullahs can lord it over. I'm not a big fan of these mullahs, as you can imagine. Anyway, let's carry on. I don't want you to isolate yoga as something 2,000 years ago and give it no context in the modern world. This is information for our modern times as well. We haven't changed that much in 2,000 years. We don't. We're the same people. If you were to go back in time 2,000 years ago to India, you could have a conversation with these people. I would show them my cell phone. I would say, do you want to see magic? That would freak them. Or the TV set there, or the cat. But other than that, it's the same. We're the same people. We haven't changed that much in 2,000 years. Can you imagine Patanjali dealing with the mullahs in Iran? What has happened to humanity? What demon has taken over these people? Let's continue. So all you can surrender to God. Ishvara Pranindalatva. That's how you achieve Samadhi. 24. Klesha karma dipaka shaya paramsta purusha vishesha ishvaraha. Ishvara is the supreme Purusha. We know the Purusha is the divine personage, unaffected by any afflictions, actions, fruits of actions, or by any inner impressions or desires. This Ishvara has no desire, thus no action, and no need to reap the fruits of action. Then what is Ishvara? Ishvara literally means the lordship. It comes from the word Ish, like Ganesha, the Lord of hosts. Ish or Esha means Lord. Ishvara means the lordship or the ladyship. Ishvara is not male or female. Ishvara is not God in the sense that we understand. It's just the higher power, the lordship. 25. Tatra virahati shayam sarvajna bijam. In Ishvara is the complete manifestation of the seed of omniscience. What is omniscience? Everything. One of in the Islamic tradition, when we chant out the 99 names of God, called dhikr, one of the names is omniscience, the all-merciful, the all-powerful, the compassionate, the omniscient, the all-seeing, the all-understanding, these are all epithets or qualities that we put upon God so that we can wrap our minds around the concept. And if we put all these nice qualities around God, we ourselves want to become just like those qualities. If God is omniscient, we also want to, become omniscient. Although we can't, but we want to educate ourselves. If God is all-merciful, we also want to be like that. Maybe we can show these same qualities of being merciful. If God is compassionate, maybe we too can become compassionate. So we put these qualities upon God. Ishvara is this, but without the qualities. Ishvara simply is the lordship. It's almost like the Brahman, the expansion of divine consciousness into the void. Ishvara is non-denominational. It's not Shiva. He doesn't call it Shiva. He's not calling it Vishnu. He's not calling it Krishna. He's not calling it Jehovah. He's not calling it Hashem. He's not calling it Allah. He's not calling it anything. He's calling it Ishvara, Lordship. Very neutral. Let's continue. Are you guys excited by all this?
Yes.
Sapurveshamapikuru kalenana vachedat. Unconditioned by time, Ishvara is the teacher of even the most ancient teachers. So here he goes into extreme exposition of what Ishvara means. Read Swamiji's purports. He has very powerful insights. For our purposes right now, all we need to know is that Ishvara means the Lordship. 27. Tasya Vachaka Pranava. Tasya of Ishvara Vachaka. Vach means voice. Vachaka means the sound or the voice or the utterance. Pranava, the mystic sound. Pranava means the prime emanation. In other words, he's talking about Om. The word expressive of Ishvara is the mystic sound Om. Om is God's name as well as form. Do we chant Om at the end of every class?
Oh, yes.
Who chants with me? Who just looks at me like I'm insane? How do I respond if somebody leaves before the chanting of the Om?
Oof.
I've had people do that. They say, oh, it's against my religion. Then go and practice at your religious house of worship. If you come to a yoga school, respect our traditions. And I actually ask them to leave. It's just that simple. You know, or you can just keep quiet. But don't make a big show of how righteous you are and walk out of my room because it insults you. I mean, you know, this is our religion. You know, it's like walking into a church and then walking out because you're going to, or, you know, into a synagogue or a mosque. Don't do stuff like that. That's just self-righteousness. So I get very, not upset. I'm just like, hope they come back with a changed attitude. I can imagine the mullahs walking out of my class if I chant Om. Okay, let's continue. I want to show you Om. Om is called Pranava. Pranava is a very important word. Sometimes I say, let's chant the Om, or I call it the Omkara. The Omkara is the same like Ishvara. Omkara means the Omness. Omkara. It's not correct to say, let's talk about Om. There's nothing to say except chant it. But if you want to talk about that concept, it's called Omkara, which is Pranava, the prime emanation. Nava, what does Nava mean? What word in English looks like that?
Naval. Yeah.
Navy. Navy. Nautical. It's a vessel. The Pranava is the first vessel. It's the first vessel from God's consciousness out into the void. It's the Pranava. Pra means prime or pre or first. Nava, the first vessel. It is the most sacred sound. When you go to church and you say Amen, you're saying Om. You're chanting the Pranava. If you go to a mosque and you say Amen, you're chanting the Pranava. If you go to a synagogue and you hear the cantors and the rabbis going Amen, they're chanting the Pranava. It's the same word. A, U, M, M. A, the first sound, Aleph, the cow, U, the connecting vowel, M, which is the divine feminine, mama, and then to the nth degree, Om. Nth degree means infinity. It's Alpha, and then that's what Jesus said about himself. I am the Alpha and I am the Omega. I am the beginning and I am the end. But to the nth degree. Nth degree. Infinity. It's an equation for infinity. It's Amen. Om is actually chanted as Om. It's A, U, and then the is the resonance. It's called the tetria, or the fourth element, or the fourth letter, or the fourth sound. Is there a gong in this room? There's so many gongs in there.
No, they're all set up for tonight.
Is there a bell?
Yes.
Where's the bell? Perfect. Thanks to Teresa Gonzalez. This is a beautiful one. I saved it from Del Rey. Okay, listen to this. The sound is unstruck, anahat. But the initial is a struck. But what remains resonates forever. That's the nth degree. That's the You hear the tetria? The fourth element?
That's the whole concept for not a yoga, for sound yoga. It's not about the initial strike, it's the resonance.
The perpetual, eternal resonance, the end, the nth degree. And which is astonishing that Jesus would say, and he used the Greek letters. He said, I am the Alpha and I am the Omega. I am the beginning, I'm the end. Who else said those same words? I am the beginning and I'm the end. Krishna. Isn't it funny? He said exactly the same words. Okay, now what is astonishing, Om, written in Sanskrit, in Devanagari script, the script in which Sanskrit is written, Sanskrit was originally written in another script called Brahmi script, which is all swirly, rounded letters, very much like Cambodian and Laotian and Thai is written, and also South Indian languages. The letters look like this. You've seen it, right? It's very cute. I don't know if I'm writing anything, but it looks like that. Devanagari is different. Devanagari is written on a line. So Om is this. So without the line, because it doesn't depend on the line, because it's the first emanation of creation, it's just like as A. Remember, the letter A, remember when you open up the book where it says the glossary or how to pronounce? A is like this. And A, the long one, is like this. Do you guys see that? It actually comes from the Phoenician or Canaanite script of the Middle East, just like English and Arabic and Greek. A was originally this, Aleph, which means cow. And it was, the Greeks turned it upside down. They made it look like this. You recognize it? The second letter, Bet, which means house. It depends. Like in Hebrew, Bet means house or temple, but in Arabic, Bet means meat. So, depends. And so on and so on. Alphabet. The third letter, Gimel, camel. the fourth letter Dalet, Do. And it's the same in Arabic, it's the same in Greek, it's the same in Latin, it's the same in English, it's the same in Devanagari. It comes from the same tradition. A, U, M is Om, and this is how it's spelled now. It goes like this. This is the A, this is the U, the half moon is the M, and the N is the dot, the resonance. Isn't it cool? So can you imagine my horror if somebody gets up and leaves before Om? What are you doing?
It's not finished.
No, it's not finished. What was she doing on Saturday? When
She was levitating her lotus.
Well, I'm trying to chant Om. A type A Ashtangi.
In the back of the room.
With a blonde ponytail. Yeah. No, it was Saturday. No, there was none of that this morning. It was good this morning. They were very well behaved. Yeah. Let us bring our hands in prayer. Let us chant the Omkara, the Pranava. And through the mirrors, I see at the back, what is she doing? Levitating in lotus, doing this. I'm like, we are finished with poses. We're chanting the Omkara now. And she fled. Never to be seen again. She probably had a free yoga class anyway. It's fine. Okay. Om. That is the divine resonance. Just by chanting Om, you can achieve Asampragnata Samadhi. That's it. Or you can surrender to God. Or you can do faith, vigor, meditation, wisdom. What else? Prajna. That's enough. That's how you gain samadhi. He gives us different options. It's not one option fits all sizes. There's different options based on how you feel that day, how you feel as an individual, how you may do it based on your religious preferences or orientations or traditions. He gives us different options.
And it seems to be that it's a continual practice where all of these options at some point within your own existence are going to be suitable for you and your way to
Exactly, because you can change.
Yeah.
What if you cannot practice yoga anymore? I cannot do faith or virya or any of that, or prajna, I lose my mind, and I don't have any more wisdom left. What do I do then? Surrender. I can just surrender in child's pose, or I can sit and go Om, 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 and I achieve my samadhi, and I'm fine. It's okay, I'm fine. So that is Om, and you're going to see it everywhere. It's up there. At that Om is very telling. Look at that Om up there. What does it look like? Looks like an elephant. It's Ganesha. Some say that the Om that's his trunk. This is one of his ears. This is one of his tusks. This is his eye. It's Ganesha. Ganesha is Ishvara. Ganesha, the Lord of hosts. The same Lord of hosts that guides us through the wilderness, lost like the Israelites in the wilderness, meandering for 40 years, lost, utterly lost. Yes.
An aha moment. Would Lord of Hosts, would it also refer to as each individual, we are the host of spirit?
No, host here means multitude. In biblical terms, a host is a multitude of people.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So he's the Lord of the multitudes. And sure enough, in India today, more people in India worship God in the form of Ganesha than any other forms. Did you see that? Is Ganesha everywhere? And Shiva. And you come to Anuttara, and what do you see everywhere? Ganesha and Shiva everywhere. Everywhere. Even fake marigolds on the front door. Who bought me the fake marigold? Where did you get those things? What, did you type in fake?
No, I was looking for things for myself, and then I saw that. And I said, those would be cute.
They are cute.
And
they
said,
look lovely there by the door,
I
right?
thought to myself, yeah, I thought they would
It
be
looks
cute.
very much like India, right? They would have things like this.
Has marigolds on his body.
Where? Let me see the marigolds.
They're beautiful. And he has an 8-limbed octopus.
And he has an axe on his truck.
Where's the marigold? Oh, that's a marigold. That is a marigold. Why, do you like marigolds so much? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Marigolds are, everybody thinks marigolds come from India. You know where they come from? Mexico. Huh. That's beautiful. We'll talk about it at some point. All right. Ganesha is the Lord of Hosts. He doesn't mention Ganesha ever again in this book. But he is going to mention the powers of Ganesha. It's coming, don't you worry. But he is implying Ganesha by bringing up the pranava, the omkara. So now we have two synonyms for the om, pranava or omkara. He doesn't call it omkara, but he calls it pranava. But if you go to India today and you say omkara, they would know what you're talking about. Did you ever hear the word in India, omkara? Or pranava? Or is it interchangeable? Omkara, the omness. They're nice. Let's continue. Sutra number. Are you guys excited about all this as I get excited?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you imagine Mela doing all this? She'll be irritated. No, poor thing. She was my first and perpetual student. That's my sister. And she's younger than me, so, you know. 28. Are you guys ready for 28? Tad japas tadartha bhavanam. Tad. But if you put D next to a J, what does it sound like? Taj. So that's why it's a double J. Tad japas, tad artha bhavanam. That, tat, tad, that, om, japa, repetition, tat, that, om, artha, meaning, bhavanam, reflection. Okay, what are you trying to say, Patanjali? He says, to repeat it with reflection upon its meaning is an aid. So, let's do pranava or omkara japa. Just so we can test it out for ourselves, especially now that the sun is right in my face. These lights are still brighter than the sun. Do I look lit up?
You do.
Am I in the light? Take a picture of me as I'm in the light. I'm literally in the light. I need more than glasses at this point. Am I shining? All right. No. Oh, that'll be cool. No, I used to do the levitating lotus, you remember?
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce it again.
I think so. It's very nice.
Do it while
Yeah, she reminded
She
me.
inspired us.
No, it was just that poor girl. She was new. She had to sign up at the desk. She showed in 25 minutes late.
Yeah.
And then she clearly was an Ashtangi, and the way we do things is different, and she was trying to keep up, and you know, and then I said, let's sit in full lotus. And when Ashtangis hear that, they think they have to levitate.
And that is the end of the Ashtanga practice.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, you sit there and you have to hold it for at least 10 breaths before you close your practice. So she was doing, the thing is, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, she's in Anuttara.
Exactly.
You do an Anuttara practice. I'm doing it with you, watch what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I said, we're done with this. Anyway, but you know how the Ashtangis are.
Yeah.
Everything sucks except their practice. I'm not saying the same about Anuttara. You know, if I go to some other school, I will do exactly what the teacher says. I'm not going to sit there and do my Anuttara stuff. Why would I? I can do it here. I mean, why would I go somewhere else? I doubt it. I doubt it. Anyway, I hope she comes back, and then, you know, she and I can have a nice conversation about it and end up laughing. There was this one woman, she came in and her feet were facing the mirror. And as I walked into the room, I'm like, why are your feet facing the mirror? It's so rude. It's bad luck. It's all this. And after class, she says to me, thanks for calling me out. I'm brand new. You really make me feel welcome. And I'm like, I said, I'm sorry. But really, I mean, how do you, I said, well, you know, do you not know that you don't show your feet into the mirrors? That you don't show your feet facing east, it's bad luck? She says, no, I don't know. I said, well, my job is to teach you. I'm sorry I came off curt, and then I really do apologize. I said, you're absolutely correct. And that was the end. I was never going to see her again. She showed up.
Oh, she came back.
She showed up again.
Oh,
And I remembered her name, and I welcomed her. And she sat with her feet politely tucked underneath, and she did beautifully. I haven't called her out, but in a positive way. I was like, wow, name is Nicole. Nicole, that's awesome, and blah, blah, blah. Yes?
hold on. Okay.
Respectful to have our feet facing our guru, our teacher.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we're not even supposed, like, seriously, we should not, even to you, Philip, we should not even do
Never.
this.
Never.
That's
I
why
mean,
John had his feet facing my face,
Like
and he got
this?
that look from me.
You
He
go,
quickly,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't know this.
yeah, I know.
With
So-
yoga comes 5, 6, 7,000 years of traditions. Unless somebody tells you about these traditions, how are you going to know?
And this is a school.
And it's a school. My assumption is that everybody knows these things. And when I'm confronted with the not knowing of some people, I come across as harsh and unwelcoming. I'm just shocked. It's like walking into a church with hot pants on.
What?
I've seen it. Like really hot pants. I've seen it. Or walking into a mosque with, just tiny little itsy bitsy pants. You know those itsy bitsies? Is that appropriate attire? It's inappropriate attire. Likewise, in the yoga school, there's inappropriate behavior, like your feet to someone's face. It's not just everyone in the mirror is your guru, and your feet are shining into everybody's face in the mirror. So we tuck the feet politely, we fold the feet politely, or we tuck them politely under us. That's why we sit like this. It's out of politeness. You just don't show your feet into someone's face. Sometimes when I say to them, it's like going for a job interview, and you sit in front of the interviewer's desk, and then you decide to put your feet up on his desk. What are the chances you're going to get that job? Very slim. The interviewer might not say anything, but he made a very strong mental note about this. He knows exactly how you're going to behave at work. You just don't do it. All right. But is there a way to, advise people in a way that makes it non-threatening and non-confrontational? Yeah. Did I fail that morning? Yes. Big fail. Big fail. I mean, sometimes, I know it's an issue I have. I come across as very authoritative, sometimes angry, basically an asshole. And then I feel bad afterwards, and I don't want to be like that. And my students are my best teachers, because if I see how people react to that kind of behavior on my part, I hope to learn something from that. Maya Angelou, the great poetess, said famously, what did she say about this? No, she was not.
No, she was not.
Absolutely
She says,
not. She was
people will
a lovely,
always-
lovely lady. She said famously, she said, people will forget what you told them, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that's very wise counsel. They will never forget how you made them feel. And that did not make her feel welcome. I felt so bad. She came back. I hope she comes back again and again. I want her to laugh at me, as opposed to take me so seriously. All right, let's continue. To repeat the Omkara with reflection upon its meaning is an aid. So if I were to do this, Om, Om, Om. It's mantra japa, mantra repetition. It's a one-word mantra. It's the pranav. It's just one word. I can do other mantras over and over again. I can go Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. I can do other japa. I can say Hare Om, Hare Om, Hare Om, Hare Om, Hare Om, Hare Om. I can do all kinds of mantra japas. Or I can do a Catholic japa. Hail Mary, full of grace, and all that. That's all I know. Hail Mary, full of grace, and what else? Do you know it? Okay, say it.
Women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, I'm like covering my face in Jewish. Pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
And how did a nice Jewish girl learn this?
Catholic.
Okay, so your mom taught you. All right. Isn't that cool? And in the Catholic Church, they have the rosary beads. When you do mantra japa, you have mala beads. It's the same thing. You get mala, and there's 108 beads. Actually, there's 110, just in case you missed one or two. Then you do this, you do this, you do this. 108 repetitions. 108 is the most sacred number in the yoga tradition. 108 ages, 108 yugas, 108 mantra repetitions. 108, 18, 180, that's the life force. 18 is Chai, the life force. Exactly the same. So you do repetition of mantra. And that's a big aid in quietening the mind and attaining samadhi and sticking with your samadhi, asampragnata samadhi. So he's given us so many options already. Who can remember these options? Faith, vigor, meditation, wisdom, Ishvara Pranidhana, surrendering to God. What else? Chanting Omkara, the Om, focusing on the utterance, on the Om, doing mantra japa, mantra repetition of the Omkara. So he's given us so many options. He's helping us. Let's see what else he's suggesting for us. $29. Tata pratyak chetanadhigamo yantarabhya bhavascha. From this practice, all the obstacles disappear. and simultaneously dawns the knowledge of the inner self. Is that nice? What is the knowledge of the inner self, Mr. Yosh? What does that mean? What do you think it might mean? Yeah, your higher self, as opposed to your craving, desiring, ego self. You see yourself as you really are. Tadadrashu swarupi vastanam, and then the seer beholds the true self. That's what you see. The light of your inner self begins to come through into your consciousness. It's so simple, Eli. It's so simple. You don't have to put your leg behind your head. You don't have to do a million chaturangas, unless you want to. You don't have to fast to the death. You don't have to take whips and chains and smash yourself up, in self-immolation. Have you seen them do that during Ashura?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They take whips and they get bloody because they want to. Ali, the nephew of the Prophet, was basically backstabbed. Yeah, it's a show.
So the beast
And the same thing happens, in other places, like in the Philippines. During Easter, they go and crucify themselves, and it's just, you don't need to do these things. All you need to do is do mantra japa, or surrender to God in prostration, or or do a serious boom boom vinyasa to show me some virya, some virility. Today in boom boom, how many women were there?
The majority.
How many men were there?
3, 4,
3.
including you.
Yeah. Me? I don't count because
You
I'm
don't
up
count.
there anyway.
Yeah. But 3 men.
Packed with women
Almost 30 women.
and 3 men. What's the strongest gender? Women.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So these pathways of samadhi, it seems like they correlate to the same as the path of yoga, like bhakti yoga, jnana yoga.
Pretty much.
Right?
Samadhi is the attainment of your practice, what you're looking for on your way to liberation. So yeah, it's basically, they are signposts and options available to you on your path.
Okay.
Yes, Manon.
Could it be that samadhi, we all think it's the goal of yoga, but I think samadhi is just a tool to attain the real goal, which is to have a quiet mind, a calm mind. No?
Samadhi
It's just a process.
It's the process towards liberation, kaivalyam.
Yeah.
To become a jivan mukta, a liberated
Yeah.
soul. That's all. Samadhi, I don't know how real this is etymologically, but you can break it down into the word same direction. In other words, you put your consciousness in the flow of the same direction towards liberation. That's how I would remember samadhi, as same direction. I let my consciousness flow in the same direction. Direction of what? Liberation, freedom, freedom from illusions and delusions and attachments and hatreds and all that. Let's see, here he mentions for the first time obstacles. Obstacles are very, very serious problems for the yogi. There are various obstacles you will encounter on your path. You guys, we work into, he doesn't want to give this to you all at once, simply because it's so much. You'll be overwhelmed. How many verses did it take Arjuna to figure it out? 700 of them. And how many chapters? 18 chapters, you remember? Did Arjuna finally figure it out? Sort of. Yeah, he did. Yeah. 30. Who wants to read 30? It's got the best words in it. Manon, read 30 with microphone in mouth. Okay, just say it. Try to chant it to the tune or the melody of Frère Jacques, oh Frère Jacques.
No, it doesn't work. So,
Yadistyana samsaya prama. Okay, carry on.
Vyadi, Stiana, Samshaya, Pramadala, Siavirati, Branti Darshana Labdabu, Mikatsvana Vashchinavani,
Tatvani.
Chitta Vikshipas Teantarayaha.
Excellent. Let's sing it with Manon. She deserves a song. Okay.
Yes.
Yadistyana samshaya pramadalasya virati branti darshana labda da bhumi katvana vasti tatvani chita vikshepaste antaraya. Whoa. And here are the magic words. Vyadi, disease. Styana, dullness. Samshaya, doubt. Pramada, carelessness. Alasya, laziness. Avirati, sensuality. Alabda, bhumi, kitvatva, failure to reach firm ground. Anavista tattva, slipping down from ground game. Chitta, affluence. Vikshepa, distractions. Antaraya, obstacles. Whoa. Yeah. So these are the obstacles to your samadhi. Disease, dullness, doubt, carelessness, laziness, sensuality, false perception, failure to reach firm ground, and slipping from the ground game. These distractions of the mind stuff are the obstacles. I mean, self-explanatory, right? Next, 31. Who wants to, you want to try? With mic in mouth?
There was something I underlined though in that purport. If a river just flows easily, the water in the river does not express its power. And I thought that was a really great sentence that kind of summed it up, right?
What river do we have in the US that flows easily that most people don't even think is a river?
The Hudson? No, I'm just kidding.
The Everglades. Yeah. People think it's a swamp.
It's fresh water.
It's so not a swamp. It's a river.
We've obstructed it quite a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Sing or chant or say it.
Dukkha dharmanasyang kamme jatva
Jayatra.
jayatva shvasa prashvasa vikshepa bahadbhuvaha.
Excellent. Let's sing with Jamie. Dukkha dharmanasyangame jayatva shvasa prashvasa vikshepa sahabhuvaha. Accompaniments to the mental distraction include distress, despair, trembling of the body, and disturbed breathing. Have you ever heard me make comments about these things?
Why are you breathing like that?
I would turn around, I would look through the mirrors and call out somebody's name and say, Chittapotri, you seem distressed. How do they display distress? Not yet. The sweat, frantically wiping the sweat. What do I say about wiping the sweat?
You make micro.
Don't wipe the sweat. Oh, it's a sin. I know. Don't worry. I absolve you. Wiping the sweat shows distress. What's the next horrible thing that? Despair. Despair. Show me how students displays despair. What do they do?
They flop into a child's pose in the middle of the flow.
What do I say then? Why are you sit upright? Why are you in child's pose? You lost your mojo. And that's exactly what happens. You've lost your mojo. You have succumbed to despair. Have you done that? And what did I say to you? Sit upright.
Microphone, please.
People think I make this stuff up. I don't make this stuff up. It's right here.
Do I understand that you say, I don't know if I understood right. Let's see, I cannot follow because my body just won't follow anymore the flow, okay? So I just need a little break. Either I stay in down dog and then I continue in the next one, okay? So I take a, do you follow me what I'm saying?
Down dog can be a pose, down dog could be a counter pose, and down dog can also be a repose.
Yeah.
So if you stay in down dog, that's good.
Okay.
Even better, because down dog is not going to recover you as quickly as you think, is to kneel down and sit upright.
Sit up.
So that your heart can beat, your lungs can function, so that you keep your eyes open. You're still present, you're still contributing because you're there as a witness. And then you join in the dance.
Okay.
But if you go into child's pose,
You don't do
despair.
that.
It shows me despair. You're out of the game. Your mojo is gone. You lost your mojo. Who spoke about losing their mojo?
Austin Powers.
Austin Powers was talking about yoga. And the fembots, who are the fembots, Chittapotri? Virabhadra and Bhadrakali, the warriors. That's why your hips have to be square and level, your shoulders have to be like this, and you turn robotic like a fembot. And like a fembot were vengeance demons. That's what Virabhadra and Bhadrakali are, but vengeance demons. Absolutely. Austin Powers is the ultimate movie on yoga. Please watch Austin Powers. It's true. Okay, so don't lose your mojo, because going into child's pose in the middle of a vinyasa shows me intense despair. Of course, if you're about to die, I mean, please. Yes, it's bad. Yeah, because you suck the energy down with you. Austin Powers, watch the movie, and then he'll show you where it is. He says the mojo is here. He actually says the mojo is here. The mojo is your solar plexus, your willpower, your Manipura chakra.
Okay.
He actually tells you that in the movie.
Okay.
He's 100% correct. You remember Austin Powers? You remember the fembots? The Nazi woman screams, "Bring in the fembots!"
Her name is Barbissina.
What was her name?
Barbissina.
Yeah.
That was her name. It's just a Yiddish word. Real, like,
Well, she was a Nazi.
Yes.
And then the Nazi screams, "Bring in the fembots!" And the fembots show up, and the fembots are beautiful, beautiful goddesses. But they're not really human, they're robots. And from their nipples, guns come out, and they go, and they shoot everyone. Heartless, they have no mercy. They are fembots. And that's exactly the same story in the dance of Virabhadra and Bhadrakali. From Shiva's grief, he slams dreadlocks to the ground, and from the ground arose two vengeance demons. From the right side arose Virabhadra, the male vengeance demon. From the left side arose Bhadrakali, the female demon. And the female demon is fembots. Who wants to do the Bhadrakali flow? Quickly, to show us how they are fembots. Chitapotri, you've done this before. Show them. Chitapotri as fembot. Chitapotri as Bhadrakali. Arise from the ground on your toes, like a vengeance demon. In Bhadrakali Mudra, look at her. Bring in the fembot. And then she points her right toe up. And she steps forth. And she points the other toe back. It's good for you. Then she steps back, she opens her heart, and then she's going to show us Shraddha and Virya. Arms like wings, Parivrita Namaskar into Parivrita Namaskar Pasvatanasana. Yeah, but make sure the fembots are facing forward. Do it. See how she's moving robotically, like a fembot? Come up halfway, fly like a fembot. And then she goes back, open your fembot, reach the arms up into extended prayer, round und curl, forehead to the knee. Notice I said un. Nobody notices these things. Do people notice? Yes. I'm so delighted with myself. I'm the only one laughing sometimes. I'm like, unfurl, and then the fembot pulls the arrow. Yeah, I do it every day. But it's not always exactly the same. It's mix and match. But the story is pretty much the same story. Okay. And then she kicks and points and she lunges back into a male warrior, Virabhadra. And then she does her Virabhadra thing. But notice how they move robotically. Her shoulders, her pelvis, and cut off the heads, and then tilt. You see how robotically the whole thing is? You become a fembot. Come up, and then fly. Her hips are square and level. Her shoulders are square and level, like a fembot. Fly. But don't smile. Wings, victory. She killed them all. That's it. Thank you, Bhadrakali Devi. Do you see, Ellie, that they are fembots? Austin Powers was describing yoga 100%. The guy's a genius. And the mojo is here, right? You remember in the movie he says, I've lost my mojo, where do I find it? And that's where you find it. It's right there. It's your solar plexus, your willpower. Let's continue with the work. Are people pleased with themselves? So we're breaking down how you lose your mojo. Distress, despair. Distress is when you wipe the sweat, right, Mano? Despair is when you collapse in child's pose. Angam means the limbs, the body. Ejayatva, trembling of angam, of the body. Have you seen people trembling? A lot of trembling. And then shvasa. What is shvasa? Disturbed inhalation. Have you seen that in class? Yeah, what do I say if I hear that? Huffing and puffing. What do I say? Who's breathing like that? What is wrong with you? Have you heard me say that?
People were trained that way.
I know.
I come here and it's a shock.
Well, there's so many shocks when they come here. Feet facing the mirrors, going into child's pose whenever you want to, sipping water like at a cocktail party. breathing loudly. I mean, everything is being told not to stretch. Everything that's been told about yoga is about stretching. I mean, it's a shock to people. Either people at Anuttara are insane, or everything I've learned is wrong. Which one is it? That's not a pose. That's the seal of the reverse action. It's a mudra. In no pose do you want trembling. That's not a pose. It's a mudra. You see how I rationalize it? Vitarka. Okay, so what other horrors do we have to deal with? Okay, go say, we're going to finish very, very soon. Okay. Sound ceremony.
Thank you.
So that's it. Distress, wiping the sweat. Despair, collapsing in child's pose or into a heap of flesh. Have you ever heard me say in class, try not to collapse into a pile of meat or a heap of flesh? Have you ever heard me say that? Yeah. Trembling of the body. Why are you trembling? And disturbed breathing. Why are you breathing like that? What is wrong with you? Then 32. Let's see what 32 has to say. Oh, it's just one small word, that, or there, or those. That can mean any of these things. And one big old word. I want Ellie to chant this. Put the microphone in mouth and start to chant.
Tat prat shadhar taha me katat vab yashaha.
Very good. Let us sing with Ellie. Tat pratishedarta me katat vabhyasa. The practice of concentration on a single object or the use of one technique is the best way to prevent the obstacles and their accomplishments. What should you be focusing on? What do I suggest?
The breath.
The breath. Only one technique, the breath. Don't go around saying, oh, I'm tired of focusing on the breath. I'm going to focus on my face in the mirror. Or I'm going to focus on the candle burning in front. Or I'm going to focus on the person next to me, God forbid. Focus on one thing and stick with it. And the best thing to stick with is the invisible, but the most powerful, your breath. Focus on your breath, you'll do okay. Remember, I always say, if you lose control of your breath, you lost control of your practice. Which means you lost control of your mind. I mean, you know. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Do you guys now see where I come up with all this stuff? People are like, oh, Yogacara, how'd you learn? Anchashrita Yoga Sutra. That's how I learned it. Thank you. It's all in here. It's a handbook on how to practice yoga. 32. We did that. 33. Who died at 33? Who else? Bruce Lee. Who else? Bob Marley. Who else? Shankaracharya, the great expounder of Advaita Vedanta. Shankaracharya was very young, but he was so smart. He is the one who rolled Buddhism out of India. Buddhism was born in India. Buddhism is the smallest religious grouping in India today. Hardly any Buddhists left. He converted the Indian population out of Buddhism. And he did one thing, he did it very simply. He said, Buddha didn't want to tell you about God, so you turned him into a God instead. Is that what Buddha would have wanted? No. So I have God for you. His name is Vishnu. He has many forms. He has the universal form that you can see with your special eyes, Or if you try very hard, you can see his personal form through your meditation and your practice and your good deeds. That's it. People converted en masse after that. Simple, right? Which is kind of funny because Shankaracharya was a Shaivist. He was a Shiva worshipper. But how do you get people to worship a ghost? That's hard. Do you know how hard the biblical prophets had to fight to turn people away from Baal worshipping and worshipping idols? It was hard. The prophets would always tell the people, worship God, worship the name, Hashem. How can you worship a name? You can't even say the name. Well, give me a picture of it. There are no pictures. Give me a statue. There are no statues. Even the Romans were like shocked. They would go to the temple in Jerusalem and say, where's the statue of your God in the temple? There is no statue. And they were shocked. I mean, how do you focus your mind on an invisible ghost? Shiva is that invisible ghost. It was only much later that they created representations of Shiva as the cosmic dancer that I showed you earlier, or as the meditator, or lately the most modern representation of Shiva is like a big blue Superman with muscles. And have you seen the big dude Superman? Shiva? He looks like a big muscle dude. That's, the modern representation of Shiva. They have big statues of him. He literally looks like a blue Hulk. It's very hard for people to imagine the invisible. It's so much easier to put a statue in front of them, or an icon, or something. But some religions are iconoclastic. They smash icons. It happened in early Christianity. They went berserk, going into churches, smashing idols. The Orthodox get very upset with the Catholics because the Catholics have statues in the churches. And the Orthodox are like, oh my goodness, you cannot have these statues. So the Orthodox have icons instead, but they are cartoon-like figures, so that you don't worship it. It's just a suggestion, an idea. And in the mosques, God forbid, you don't have any paintings. Or in a synagogue, the same thing. It's idolatry. So there's different ways of dealing with this. Let's continue. 33. So anyway, Shankaracharya said, you turned Buddha into an icon. You turned Buddha into an idol. You turned Buddha, the messenger, into a god. When he specifically said to you in his writings, don't ask me about God. What do I know about God? Those are Buddha's words. So don't ask me nonsense. So I don't have to give you nonsense as a reply. I don't know anything about God. What I do know is how to stop suffering by helping you overcome your addictions, your desires, and your cravings. That I do know. Ask me this. There I can help you. But don't ask me about God. I don't know anything about God. If I say God is this or God is that, I'll put conditions and limitations on God. Who am I to do such a thing? I mean, he was very wise. So it turned him into a god. Built statues to him, prostrating, bowing down to him, and everything. And that's when Shankaracharya came up and recovered India back to the Vedic traditions, which is modern day Hinduism. 33. Maitri Karuna Muditopekshanam Sukha Punya Punya Vishayanam Bhavatas Chitta Prasadanam. Isn't it a lovely one? That's the Punya Punya one. Do you like that one? Let's all sing it together. Maitri Karuna Muditopekshanam Sukha Dukkha Punya Punya Vishayanam Bhavanatas Chitta Prasadanam. This is such a very powerful one. To help you overcome your mental distress and your anxieties and your resentments and your fears and your insecurities and your ego, so that you can maintain a good yoga practice, he gives us this very powerful suggestion. He says to us, by cultivating attitudes of friendliness towards the happy, compassion for the unhappy, delight in the virtuous, and disregard towards the wicked, the mind stuff retains its undisturbed calmness. It is beautiful. So who should you cultivate friendship with? The rich and famous? Who should you cultivate friendship with? Those people who are happy. So when I ask you after class, are you happy? What I'm really asking you is, do you want to be my friend? Because if you're not happy, if you're chronically miserable, get away from me. So you cultivate friendliness, maitri. Maitri, the word maitri is very close to the word mate. Have you ever been to Australia or spoke to an Australian? A mate. Maitri means mate, mateship or friendliness. Karuna, compassion. Mudita, that's a wonderful word. It means delight. Wouldn't it be a nice word to call somebody a mudita? And upeksha, disregard. Sukha, happy. Dukkha, unhappy. Punya, virtuous. Apunya, not virtuous or wicked. And so on and so on. Can you guys remember this one? It is such an important one. I posted it on my Facebook post one day, and I got 300 likes because of it. People say, oh, you're so smart and everything. I'm like, oh, shit. In one of the comments, I said, it's not me. It's Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra. You know, so now, every time I come up with these smart remarks, I put it in inverted commas and I give credit to who said these things. So people don't mistake me for the Oberchacham. What's an Oberchacham? In the Yiddish, what's an Oberchacham? A very wise, overwise Chacham or wise man. A Chacham is a rabbi. So to be called an Oberchacham is not a good thing. It means you're Mr. Know-it-all. So, yeah, so, you know, give credit you, put it in inverted commas. And if it's from the Yoga Sutra, put in the sutra, the chapter and the verse. Please do that. And credit it with Patanjali, not with you. Okay. What do you love?
I love this purport. Sorry, I'm sorry. I went really loud there. I love this purport. I actually posted this and I didn't credit Sachidananda, but he says, why should Patanjali say this? Because even 4,000 years ago, there must have been people who were not happy at seeing other people happy. And it's just, yeah, we were like, I mean, you said this earlier in class.
We don't change.
No.
We're the same.
Yeah.
Except they didn't have cell phones. But other than that, we're the same. The same dysfunctions, the same anxieties, the same everything. We're the same. So, if you want to keep your mind quiet, cultivate attitudes of friendliness towards the happy. By being friends with happy people, some of it may rub off on you. Do you know any happy person in your life? Do you know such a person? Somebody who's chronically happy? Aren't they annoying? Do you know chronically happy people? Not always, but yeah, for the most part, yeah. And she's a delight to be around because she's effervescent. Yeah. No, she's not annoying. And those who are unhappy, what are we going to do? Compassion. We show compassion to those who are unhappy. They are unhappy for various reasons, and they need your compassion. And you need to express compassion, so you become fully human. You don't just hang out with happy people because the rest bore you. You also take time to be with the unhappy people, to show compassion, to help them through this process. And then, what about the other types? Delight in the virtuous. Do you know somebody who is virtuous? Bless you. Her sneezing into her shirt is an act of virtue. That was punya. Isn't that a nice word? Punya. And unvirtuous? Apunya. What pose do we do where we look at Gandhavas and Apsaras, and the Gandhavas give us Dasha Punya, and the Apsaras give us just one Apunya? Show us, Roy. Well, sort of show us. Okay, just like you did, show us again. What you remember when he looks up at the Gandhavas give us Dasha Punya, 10 merits, and the Apsaras give us just one demerit, Apunya. People are, oh, so, well, this is where it comes from. All right, let's continue. And then delight in the virtues. Who would be a virtuous person? Some kind of personality in the news or in history, or who would you consider a virtuous person that gives you delight? Just reading about this person delights you. My favorite virtuous people are the rabbis. I delight in reading about Hillel. I delight in reading about Jesus. I delight in reading about Mother Teresa. I delight in reading about Yogananda and our Guru lineage. I delight. That's what I do for fun. While you guys go out partying, or like Mike going out to the end of the world proposing, I sit and I study the gurus and the rabbis, and their lives delight me. Who's that?
Sound back.
Oh, the sound. Okay. And for those who suffer, what do we feel for? Compassion. And those who are wicked, how do you disregard the wicked?
Just ignore them.
Ignore them. Do you have to unfriend and block them?
You could block.
Sometimes. Even worse is if you don't unfriend them, if you don't block them, you completely ignore them.
Can you use a mic, please?
Put the mic in your face, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Mic in Mike's mouth.
It would be hard to ignore the wicked, and then they gain strength, and it's an interesting concept actually, because it's not just to ignore evil.
The wicked basically demand attention all the time. They are attention freaks. They demand attention. That's why they do wicked things. That's why they rob, they steal, they defraud. They want and they want and they want. They're always craving and needing and wanting. And not only that, they feel entitled. Right? So the best way to deal with such people is not to give them the attention they're craving for. Disregard them. They are narcissistic. Don't worry, the FBI and the Department of Justice will take care of it. And they're working very hard to take care of it. And that's, you just disregard them. Don't get involved. You're going to get into trouble. Disregard.
Ignore as if they don't exist, but like Philip's saying, not feeding it, but being aware that it's there.
Let's see. We're going to finish at 35. Let's do 34. you guys see why we need so many weeks? Do we discuss everything? About everything? Yoga is the science of everything. Seriously. Who wants to read this? Brooke, why don't you take a chance? With mic in mouth. What? That's a strong. Yeah, with like spitting out from the back of your throat.
Vidaharana Harana Bahayam. Ba Pranayasana.
Pranasya.
Pranasaya.
Pranasya.
Pranasya.
The end with a little dot underneath is a strong but not with the tongue near the front of the mouth, but with the tongue more towards the back of the mouth. Try it. Most people cannot hear the difference. And if you do say it properly, people think you are mocking an Indian accent, which is not the case. You are speaking an ancient Indian language. You're not mocking anyone. You're learning how to pronounce an ancient Indian language. It's not mocking. I've been accused of that. All right. Prachardana vidaranabhyam va pranyasya. It means all that calm is retained by the controlled exhalation or retention of the breath. So it brings it back to the breathing, people. Right? Who was in my class where we did breathing exercises this morning? We did just about everything I know, right? We did Aniloma. You weren't even there. Why are you nodding your head all sagely? There were only 3 guys in there, and you were not one of them. Brooke was there. You were not. You were not. You were not. Mike was not. Chitaputri was not. Roy was not. You were there. Were you there? Raja. A whole bunch of women and 3 men to entertain them. And my comment was, I guess everybody partied really hard for Halloween. Did you party hard, Roy and Chitaputri? No? Oh, okay, that's hard enough as it is. And what about you? Did you party hard? Okay, good. Did you party hard, mister? No. What about you, Ellie? You didn't party hard? Okay. Mridu, mildly. So he gives us various breathing exercises. He's not telling us what kind of breathing exercises, but he is acknowledging the idea of breathing exercises, the controlled inhalation and exhalation and retention of the breath. And that's what we do. Aniloma Viloma is the best one. Abhaya Mudra, Vishnu Mudra, block, exhale. Sometimes you can hold the exhalation. Inhale, block, hold the inhalation. Exhale, hold the exhalation. Do you understand what I mean? Controlled and retention. It's called kumbhak. And there's various, as much as zeros and ones in binary code can be combined into infinity, you can combine inhalation and exhalations in binary code ad infinitum. And it just helps you control the mind. Yes?
Are teaching us the Anuloma Viloma. Do you have a ratio?
A what? Oh, ratio?
Yeah.
No, I just played by ear. But progressively, there's deeper inhalation and deeper retention. It gets more and more. By the time I do cat and cow, there's retention. I don't like to time my breath. I'm not a machine. I, it's too much thinking. It's too much thinking. It's just been the moment. I did classes where I was a student and the teacher was doing timing, and it was exhausting to me. It was, I don't, it felt like I was being baked in an oven. You know, just play it by ear. That's what I would suggest. It works for me better. Maybe for other people, they like a timer. You know, hold the breath for 20, and then eventually 25, and then 30, and what have you. You don't need a timer. Nobody needs to count. You can figure it out. The only time I count the breaths is in the end, when we go into Garbha, and you bring your forehead down into Shambhavi Mudra, and I count 9 breaths, 9 moons. It's gestation. It's the dance of the womb, Garbha. The only other time I do inhalation counts is in when I do pranasana. Who's done pranasana with me? It's a very, very difficult pose. You've done it. And prana is the life force, and the numerical value of the life force in numerology in the West, Gematria, or enumeration, is 18. So I actually sit and I count 18. I don't make a loud count. I count it myself, and then I say, all right, release. And everybody's already released long ago, but anyway, it's the life force pose. That's the only time I know. The only time. All right. Wonderful question. Thank you. See, she went to India. You learn things if you go to India. What did you learn about yoga more than anything else? What did you do?
I did nothing. It fell over.
Oh.
It was a ghost.
What did you learn in India? I'm so much, obviously, but is there anything that shines at you in your smriti? What is smriti?
Ashram as a karma yogi, and you serve without expecting nothing in return. And you have to do it for the good purpose. You know, some people, they do it for the wrong idea. There's like everywhere there are people doing things for the wrong.
Yeah, it's called fruitive action.
But it was something that I really, really enjoyed.
What did you have to do? Clean the latrines or cook food or?
It depends, okay? Because it depends. When they tell you you need to clean the toilet, you must not judge. You clean the toilet. This is your duty to clean the toilet. But they have put me in charge of the health hut. So
of the what?
Health hut. It's a little.
Oh, a health hut.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay, where we were making fresh juice and coconut and the whole shebang. So it was really, really nice because first of all, I have been in restoration for many, many years in my life. So I was in my comfort zone, okay, without them knowing it. They put me in charge there. And the next time that I served was in Canada. And in Canada is the head office of all the Shivananda organization. And they put me in charge of the reception. So it was a big deal, you know, but I was so happy. And then sometimes they would say, Manon, you're cooking today. And sometimes I had to cook for 70, 100 people. So yes, it's how do you say, nerve-wrack? Because you have to say, my goodness, this is not cooking for 5 people. It's 70, 100 people, and sometimes more. Of course, you get help, but you're the one who decides what's
You have to
cooking.
decide how much, when to start, how to
Yes,
finish.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes. But so many things, so many things. But to me, things that I really like is to serve in an ashram. I mean, ashram life is beautiful also, you know? It's very, very spiritual, and you have to know when you're in India.
Where did you go? Where was this ashram in India?
In Varkala.
Which is in Karnataka?
No, Varkala is the state in completely south of India, completely south. And this is where you really think what India is about. Okay? If you go to Mumbai or New Delhi, people, you think you are home, you know, like not home.
It's New York.
But yeah, exactly. But down in the south, it's really people, they still wear the shari, and you know, it's
Dhotis
really
and-
typical. And they celebrate almost every day because they have so many gods that they celebrate every day. They celebrate a god. There's something going on all the time, and everybody celebrates. So it's yeah,
Oh, how
you get
beautiful.
really spiritual. You know,
What language do they speak there? Tamil?
over there is Malayalam.
Malayalam?
Okay, which is a very difficult
It's
language.
a Dravidian language, yeah.
Yeah, down in the south is Malayalam. So this is what they spoke over there. But of course, the course and everything is in English. And when they do a 200-hour TTC or 300, I mean, you have 200, 300 people. Imagine that, okay? So, yeah, we're sitting in a big yoga hall, like enormous. And then you have translator because some people, they don't understand English. So you have Japanese translator, French, German, all kinds of translators. So everybody has their little thing. So it's but it's well organized, you know? Can you believe in a TTC, 200 people? This is a lot.
It would be a nightmare for me.
You know?
I mean, it would be nice
lot.
from a business perspective, but from a personal perspective, it would be like a nightmare.
But it's well organized.
Yeah.
It's so well organized. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, good experience anyway.
Well, thank God it's organized. Can you imagine 200 people in disorder with different languages? It'll be the Tower of Babel. Remember the Tower of Babel? Remember? All right. So that was her experience in India. The thing that shines for Mano apparently must be selfless service, seva. Shivananda is famous. The ashram here in the Bahamas, there was a story I read where he asked the student to cook the food that evening in the kitchens. And she was very resistant. She was like, I paid all this money not to cook food for people. They should be cooking for me. Well, you know, that was her attitude. So, and her name was Karen. She was just like what we now call a Karen. The displeasure was written all over her face. Shivananda didn't say anything. He comes into the kitchen an hour or so later, and he says, how's it going? She's okay. Very curt. He says, can I taste? Sure. Tanzima. He tastes it. I think it needs more salt. Whatever. Okay. He leaves. Then the food is finished, it's cooked. She says, do you want to taste it now? Thank you, Karen, let me taste it. And he tastes it, and he says, it's well seasoned, but it's toxic. So he takes the big pot, lifts it up, and pours it down the drain of the sinks. And she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He says, it's better that our students don't be poisoned with your toxicity than to eat. It's better for them to go hungry tonight than for them to eat your poison. How did that make her feel? Everybody was hungry, and we're all like looking at her. Love, it's the main ingredient. She forgot about the love in the ingredient. It was toxic. Have you ever had guests, Nancy, and you were resentful about their presence, and you cooked it without love? It's toxic. It doesn't make it be well seasoned. It can be the freshest ingredient, organic, fair trade, locally sourced, vegan, the whole thing. But if there's no love, it's toxic. Poison. That's Shivananda. All right, guys, that's also our studies for this week. We're making good time. We almost finished the first chapter. There are 4. The other chapters are a little shorter, a little easier. The Sanskrit will become easier and easier as we progress, and our tongue begins to lubricate and soften. And that's it. And hopefully, I'll see you in classes this week. Remember, your memberships are suspended during the training. Your being in class is part of your teacher training. So I really need to see you in class as often as possible, minimum 4 times a week. I would prefer 8, 9, 10, 12 times